Everybody, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and I am hard to kill, apparently. And I do want to remind everybody that I do have a sponsor for this episode. It is Pocket Jack Comics, who produce comics like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily. So go check them out at pocketjackcomics.com and buy some of their comics. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator Travis Gibb. So welcome to the show.
What's up, man? It's been a while.
It has been a while. I've been busy. You've been busy. You got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, you got Granite State Punk's Live Free or Die, issue 1 to 5. That's on Kickstarter right now, being funded with 2 weeks left. But we're going to get to that in a second. But why don't you quickly introduce who you are? Because some people know you. Some people know you from Scout. Some people know you from some of your early work back in the 90s. And then a few other people know you, obviously, from Orange Cone, which is your company. But I figured I'm going to let you introduce yourself for those who do not know you or maybe living under a rock.
Right. I mean, if you're reading comics and you don't know me, please let me know where you are on the internet so I can go there, because clearly I failed. I thought I got all the reaches, but I guess I didn't. But I'm Travis Gibb. I create a lot of books. I've been Ringo nominated. I've won a couple different awards, even the CBR Comic Book Resources Award this year. So I've done some stuff. Best known for, sorry, my dogs are upset about somebody's coming in. About Granite State Punk or Cthulhu Invades, Coins of Judas, Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies, lots of stuff.
Yeah, so obviously you do a lot of stuff, and I do want to talk a lot about Granite State Punk, because that's kind of what's being funded on Kickstarter. You got 2 weeks left, and I think you're 62% there, if my math is correct, around that number, maybe 65.
I'm doing pretty good. It's only been launched since Tuesday, so it's not even been that long. I do smaller launches just because I've been around. I have a fan base, so we can get to the number, and I have a lot of stuff coming out this year. But yeah, that sounds about right.
Again, yeah, I quickly looked at the number, and I know you're going to get funded. Most likely. I don't want to jinx you, but most likely, unless there's like a disaster, which God knows could happen in today's age. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But not jinxing you. Fingers crossed here. But obviously, I do want to talk about Granite State Punk. So what is the basic concept of Granite State Punk? Because there are 4 other issues before this one. They sort of connect, but they're also one-shots technically, and it's kind of a weird series in that regard, because you could pick up number 3 and you don't necessarily need number 2, but number 2 helps in many ways reading it. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that's the way
No, they're all one-shots. They all can be read by themselves. This one probably the least, because this one kind of wraps up what would be season 1. The reason why that concept came to be is I originally this was going to be a one-shot, and it did so well, and people really fell in love with it and fell in love with the series and what it was going to be, that we started doing one-shots. Also, it helped with the Scout deal, because I didn't have to get all 5 done before they were doing the Scout versions of this book when we had the Scout deal. So that helped get it out there and do that stuff. But yeah, so it's basically a 5-issue series for season 1. It ends, and as you know, I mean, this book is so personal to me. It's probably the best thing I write, and I'm not saying that to dismiss any of my other works, or because it's a weird thing to say, but it's more personal than anything else. So there's a lot of elements, and I did something really cool in this that has never been done as far as I'm aware. Zeke, the main character, can break the 4th wall. And when he breaks the 4th wall, it's kind of like Deadpool. He can talk to you and do stuff and stuff. But I explained to you in this issue why he can break that wall, why he can do it, how it came to be. And I don't think anybody's ever done that. I just think they leave it ambiguous. And I explain it and why, and it has some deeper stuff, deeper cuts to it, which I think is interesting.
So I want to break down a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Obviously, one of my favorite shows of all time is Californication.
Okay.
And shoot, I forget who plays Hank, but he was on Howard Stern talking about this, and he was explaining that they don't know if the next season of that show is going to get renewed. So after every single season, they end that season as if they're ending the whole concept of the show. And I think that's very interesting about the one shot stuff is that, and I don't know if it was after issue 3 of this or the one shot of number 3, if you knew you were going to do 5, but even when you were speaking about doing it 1 and then it did very well, there is something to be said. Hey, I don't know if I'm going to come back to this, but I want to end it so that you have a complete story. Because a lot of times on Kickstarter, and I don't know how you feel about this, is that I don't know if I'm going to get issue 2 out of somebody or issue 3. I don't know if they're going to stick around, but it's nice to have a final ending point with something so that, let's say you said, hey, I'm done after 4. Granite State Punk number 4, it has an ending. And I think that's what's so interesting about that idea of doing one shots. And I find that fascinating because at least it gives me closure to a story, if that makes any sense.
No, 100%. And that's my goal. So the way I write a normal comic is I write the story, right? I do it when I write a Granite State Punk issue, I go, what would I write as a miniseries? And I make it one issue. So I pack all of that into one issue and write it. That's why it's heavy dialogue. That's why it's very action packed, very fast paced. It's why those things exist in the books. But yeah, I want to give people colors, and I think I'm still going to do it even when I continue on. When I do season 2, I think it's still going to be a series of one shots that connect it. But I may start giving a reading order, like it's a novel. You know how in novels they have the back, they have the reading order. I think that may be necessary after 5, because there's the status quo of Granite State Punk changes at 5, and I have to write it in a different way. I really screwed myself on purpose. Like I was like, I want to write this book. I want to see if this book works if I write it a different way. So, it's a little spoiler, but he's not going to break the fourth wall in issue 6. So, how do you do that? How do you write that book the way I write it without doing that? So, there's some cool stuff coming. We got to get there, and it's so. This may sound egotistical, maybe it shouldn't, but we just sent out last week all the last ones, Only Posers Fall in Love, and I sat down and I read my work, and my wife edits it. And I try not to read it after she edits it. I try to wait till she comes. She'll give me feedback, but I trust her immensely when it comes to that. And I read it, and I was like, this may sound shitty, but this is my favorite book. And I wrote it that sounds very egotistical, but I think it's my favorite book.
It's funny. So let me ask you this, right? There's only one interview that I like out of my whole show. That's my favorite interview that I've ever done. And it's nearly perfect, if not perfect. I have done one perfect interview. And when I listen to it, I'm like, this is the most perfect interview that I've ever done. And I will put that interview up against any top interviewer. And I will say, you come at me with this, and I'll come back with you at that. It was a better interview, and it was just a flow. It was just that I didn't give a damn, and it was like we were finishing each other's sentences, me and my guest, so perfectly. And I was throwing him like a softball, and he was just hitting a home run, and it was perfect. Except there was one little mistake only I know that I made during the interview, and it's so minor that it kills me inside. But it's my favorite interview of all time, and it wasn't even a big guest. Because it was so perfect in so many ways. And but I don't think it's egotistical, right? I think it's important to say, cool, I know when I dominated and had the best piece of writing I've ever done or the best interview I've ever done. And I think it's important to know when you kill it, but also to know when you completely fucked up. Because I fucked up on plenty of interviews all the time.
Well, and sometimes in comics, especially when you're writing these miniseries, you can kill it on issue 1 or in 5 or 1 and 3, but like 2 and 4, we're gonna see how those work out. Because you know the arc and the exciting elements, but sometimes you got to do the muck to get there, right? I think issue 2 is the hardest in comics because number 1, you're so excited about doing it. Yeah, you create the universe and you're building it, and then issue 2, you're like, All right, I want to get to the big payoff of this. So I just got to give you a little bit more information. I've got to up the stakes a little bit, but I can't up them too much because we got 3 more or 4 more issues to go. So issue 2s are always the toughest of figuring out that balance. And can you match the energy and excitement of an issue 1? There's a lot of lot to in issue 2 of the comic.
It's interesting, right? Because we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble in a little bit, everybody. I'm giving everybody a little tease, but there's a concept in wrestling, and it happens rare, where a card revs up, where the first match starts it off, and then match 2 gets more exciting, and then it revs up all the way, and there's no dip, and it gets to the peak, and it ends at the peak. And if you're watching a wrestling show that does that and does it well, it's great. And there's nothing wrong with valleys in stuff. If you psychologically break down wrestling, you will notice that there are cooler matches and hot matches, and there's a reason how to control the crowd, because then you get the big payoff, because the more you have a dip, the higher the peak can go. Right. It is very much what WWE used to do in many regards. But when you watch a show that just keeps going and going and going up the mountain, you're like, what the fuck? How far can we go? But that's really hard to do in a TV show. It's hard to do in comics. It's hard to do in a lot of things, and it's hard to do in wrestling, right? Because again, how do you get the pump up? And obviously in comics and in a television show, you don't have a crowd. So that's also a problem too, to some degree, but it's hard to do that. But I completely get where that could be difficult to dip into 2 and then pump up in 3 and then dip down 4 to get the payoff in 5. But again, I haven't written a comic, but I've read enough of them that I could feel it. So, but yeah, but I do want to talk a little bit more about this, because obviously we're on issue 5 and you're funding issue 5 at the moment. And it's the end of, I guess, season 1 or the first arc. I'm not exactly sure how you're classifying it.
I call it season 1, but yeah, it'd be the first arc. This would be where the trade would. This is basically, I'm giving you a trade. This is where the trade would be right here. If you got all 5, this is where the trade is. And I am so proud of this body of work. I've issue 5, I wanted to get it right. So I've read it to my wife. I gathered a group of creators together to read it through to make sure it's perfect, because I really want it to have a payoff and emotional. And I remember, like, one of the meetings, one of the creators wrote me, and he said, he's like, I didn't know that you were built to make. He's like, I knew you made comics and I knew you made good comics, but I didn't know, I didn't know you were built for this. Like, you were made for this. Like, he's like, no other craft, I think, could ever suit you. Now that I've seen, because he knew my personality well, but he's never read a book with me and the whole thing. He's like, I don't think anything else would suit you that can give that kind of payoff. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this book. I'm so excited. I'm more excited about this than anyone. And I wish it was a way that I could explain it better, right? Because it's hard, because I'm like, final issue. All right, so I can get it. But I also don't want to lie to people and go, I'm still making Granite State Punk. It's not the final issue, but it's the final issue of Granite State Punk the way you know it, right?
So again, obviously, I mean, we're dealing with a lot of crazy shit in this book. So Zeke is running away. Obviously, we're dealing with family issues. We're dealing with witches, which may or may not be warlock stuff, magic, all that stuff, addiction, drugs, rock and roll. You have an interesting cocktail, for lack of a better word, here in this book. But obviously, there's metaphors in this book too. And so, I mean, I'm being vague for a reason, because I didn't read it yet. And I probably will read it at some point. I probably will wait for a trade, because I like to read things in bulk. I'm a bulk consumer.
Well, you can buy all 5, so you could read all in bulk. So don't give me that excuse. You're not. Unfortunately, we're at the end here, so that you don't really have an excuse. But I understand. And I know your taste. This is a beautiful cover. Look at how pretty she is.
She is very pretty. She is very pretty. But there's also so many things I could sell on eBay. eBay hates nudity. They hate nudity.
There's no nudity. She's covered. Look. She's covered. So this one, the preview pages are up there. We find out. So in the first issue, we find out that his family has been killing people to keep the mountain alive, and the police find the dead bodies, and now they're out to get him in issue 5. So we've again, just like we talked about, we've upped the stakes. It was as far as it goes. So he's on the run. How does he get out of this situation? How do we keep everything the way it was?
How does he get out of this situation? I mean, why are you automatically assuming that he's going to get out of it? I mean,
right? It's true. I mean, I did say it does change drastically after here, so maybe it doesn't. It's called Granite State Punk. It's not called Zeke's Happy Fun Day.
There's so many things I could say.
Yeah, as long as there's a punk in the Granite State, this book is aptly named. It doesn't have to be him.
Yeah, so let's talk about that too, because I hate happy stories. I hate them. I am no longer interested in reading happy stories. I like the sick, twisted, and fucked up stories, and I enjoy that stuff a lot more because, well, if I want to watch something happy, I'll watch a comedy, right? So at this point, I want something sick and twisted and all messed up. I had a high school teacher in my senior year, and his class was called Sick and Twisted English 101. And it was great for 10 weeks. We read like the Suicide Virgins, and we read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it was great. It was great. And oh my God. I think we read like One Exit or something. I forget the whole thing, or like No Exit, whatever that play is. Great. Existentialism to the T. Oh, it was awesome. The whole thing was great. It was such a blast of a class. But it was like sick and twisted, right? And so like that's what you're writing to some degree, is that this is sick and twisted and fuckery, for lack of a better word. And so like, what is that like? Because I think that also allows, because we're no longer in happy land anymore in society. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but like it's not the roaring 1920s.
Yeah, when we write, when I write Granite State Punk, it's not happy. In fact, that's the last issue, Only Supposed to Fall in Love. We see the little slimmer of happy that he is a real broken human being, and I write him like a real broken human being. So he doesn't know how to be happy. He's not capable of said thing. So when he's happy, he will self-sabotage. And we go through what that looks like from a broken person. And a lot of it's very much younger me trying to figure some of that stuff out. So though they're not anecdotes of what happened, it's just a reality of the headspace of those times and the headspace of how the world views. And I try to be, it's a very, I for anybody who follows me on Facebook, I tend to be very liberal, but I don't, whenever I write a Zeke story, a punk rock story, I make sure that I show, if I bring politics in, like when there's a whole essay in the middle of this issue that talks about Nazis. It talks about where Nazis come from. And here's the page. So if you see the blue and red side, I literally write it from both perspectives to show that, to not show any political alignment, and to show that it's all the same at the end of the day, right? We get these little corners, and the world gets angry at this or that, but at the end of the day, it's all scum, and everybody's bad, and everybody's. So I reflect the way I see the world. But at the same time, if you read Granite State Punk and you know anything about New Hampshire, which I know you won't, and a lot of people don't, but they say you can tell there's a love for that place. And I think we all have that friend who's every week tells you, I'm going to get out of here, like a Good Will Hunting. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. And they don't get out of there because they love this area. They love it being here. And they couldn't imagine being anywhere else, regardless of how they say they hate it here, right? And it's all horrible.
So you bring up an interesting point, and I'm curious. Obviously, my political views, I'm libertarian, conservative. Sure. I don't think that's a secret. If you didn't know it by now, shocker, right?
Right. You do get angry periodically, so if you're following, you will see it. It doesn't happen often, but once or twice a year, you share your libertarian craziness.
I mean, I also believe that if somebody wants to buy a block of cocaine, I don't think that should be a crime. So, right. I have some crazy ideas.
Right.
Yeah, you should have.
You're from DC. It's your own fault, right? I understand.
But where I get really angry, everybody, for those who are interested in, is I get angry about gambling, and if you look at my Twitter feed, you'll see me like bitching and complaining about how the OKC really fucked up the game on Wednesday. It was bad. It was bad. They had the lead, guys, by like 25 points, and they gave up. It was bad. And don't start me on the Knicks. When the Knicks are losing, you do not want to see my Twitter feed. But and oh my god, when the Mets are just like killing people, oh, it's great. My Twitter feed is fun. But again, every once in a while I do get angry on Twitter, but on Facebook. But I get like what, one or two of them a year, right?
Right, sure, yeah, one or two, which is not bad, for people who, especially when they know that you find out that you're in politics a little bit. That's really good.
That's because I don't shove my ideas down people's throat.
Right.
You have to learn how to get along. In which that's the problem right now, is that you have to learn how to get along. And most of the time, all I want to do is that me and my friends disagree on politics, but guess what? We're still friends because we don't talk about it. We've learned to be adults in the room. But what is that like though? Because I do see people insert politics into their books. I see people talk politics, and I think it's a mistake. Again, all I want to do is I just want to make money, and I don't care what your politics are. I just want you to buy from my eBay store, and I want to sell you an item, and I don't really care what you think. I just want to engage in free capitalism and free transactions. Where you want item X, I want to sell you item X. Why does your politics matter to me? And that's what I don't understand about comics. And even when you're writing objectively, like I just don't get why you have to shove your views down my throat. I just want to read good stories, and I want to read sick and twisted, fucked up shit, or I want to read fun comics. Like I don't want your political views down my throat. I just don't. I want good stories, and I don't want to know your political views, to be quite honest. I want your story. I don't want your political views. And that's like, and so I'm curious, like, how do you put that away? Because I've read a bunch of your stuff, and from your writing, I would never get the sense that you're liberal. I wouldn't know how to identify you. I would say you're probably leaning left, but I wouldn't jump off the cliff and be like, $300, Travis Gibb is a Democrat. Like, I wouldn't take the bet, is my point.
Well, I think so. I have two views on this. If you're putting politics into a book that doesn't need it, then don't. Right? Some people put like politics in. I'm going to use Spider-Man. Because actually, Cap is probably the best example, right?
If Spider-Man is punching Doc Ock, I don't need to know that Spider-Man voted Democratic, right?
Correct.
He's punching Doc Ock in the face.
I agree. But if you're writing a book that's trying to say a message, I think putting your politics and viewpoints are in. Like Warren Ellis is very good at that. But there's people who can do it very, very well. When we talk about Why the Last Man, of the time, those politics were very active. It was a very political book. But when
I love
Brian K. Vaughan, he showed both sides of it. He would go, one area of women would be very conservative, and they handled the women this area. The next one was very liberal, so they were chopping off their boobs and making them warrior, right? And the other side was making soap operas. So, like, I think politics in comics is good. I think when you take something that's not political, make it political, it's a problem, right? Like if you're buying a Zenescope book, if you have any politics in there, that's not a Zenescope book. It's not made for that, right? But if you're doing a conspiracy theory, or if you're doing a political thriller, I think that those things happen. One of my favorite things in the world, House of Cards. Remember watching the first season of House of Cards? I'm sure you watched it.
That was great.
You assumed that they were Republicans just because of the political stuff that they were tackling. And then you got to the end of the first season. It wasn't to the end of the first season where he announces that he's a Democrat. And then you look at those things and you're like, oh, I just assume, yeah, no, they're not. It's the same coin, and I think they did it very, very well. Of expressing that all you need to do is change the verbiage slightly, and it goes to the other side. So, I think there's space for it. I think it is important to share your views of the world because you're right. Anybody you're reading, you want to hear their views of the world if it's a book that shares views of the world, right? Again, if you're reading Coins of Judas and I'm throwing a lot of politics in it, you're like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted an action thing about fighting demons, But if I'm writing a political thriller, so I think it depends on what you're writing, and I could definitely get away with it. Most punks tend to be liberal, but they're not all. And I'm writing for all punks. I'm not writing for just one or the other.
See, I find it interesting, right? Because I mean, as an interviewer, I'm extremely objective.
Yeah.
And I interview whoever I want. And there's people who get upset. There's people who don't get upset with me. There's people who don't like. I mean, there's people who don't like that I'm interviewing you. And I'm like, well, that's your problem, right? In which I openly can have conversations with.
Tell them I said hi.
Yeah, it's whatever. They don't want to speak to me anyway. People have openly said, why did you have that person on your show? And I said, well, are you paying my bills? Right. And that's my response. That's my response. When you want to write me a nice check and you want to buy equity in what I'm doing and actually write me real money, then you can have a say. That's what it is, in which that I operate freely and according to how I feel. And that's the end of the day, because Raven Gregory said it. When you mortgage your house to do something, you get to call the shots.
Right.
And I think his statement is very true. And so, but again, I don't politically, in which that I'm way less political than I've ever been, because I don't care. I'm way more interested in what the Knicks and the Boston Celtics are doing than what's going on in the White House. Like, genuinely, I know way more about the Boston Celtics and the WNBA than I know what's going on in American politics right now, which is ludicrous given that I live in DC.
I mean, I don't know if that's true, because this week has been a little crazy. So I'm sure you know a lot about this week, but I get what your point.
I don't. I've been dealing with my TV for those.
All right. Because this week's been a little crazy. I think everybody knows what's going on this week.
This week, in my defense, I've been a little bit busy this week personally, where I've had a tough week where I lost a lot of money on Wednesday night. I made it all back Thursday night, and then my TV went dead. So, and I made a profit Thursday night too, getting back the money that I lost Wednesday night. So I've had a bit of a stressful week, because I've learned in the last 30 days I have a gambling problem.
I did I had never saw you say gambling out loud. I know that you gambled, but until recently I never saw you post it on Facebook like about gambling. I was like, okay.
For those who don't know, I've spent over $30,000 gambling this month.
Wow. That's a problem.
And I'm profitable, which is even crazier. So,
which does not teach you that you've made bad life decisions.
We'll find out tonight how the Boston Celtics do. I have Jason Tatum for 15 points. I think I'll do all right. I think he'll do it. I just need 5 threes from him. They're playing the Pelicans. It's going to be, I don't know if they're going to beat the Pelicans, because the Boston Celtics are a weird team. They will beat like the top team in the NBA, and then they'll lose to the worst. They're like a weird team.
No, haven't you? We've always done that. Like, look at Tom Brady and the Patriots. They would have perfect seasons and lose to Miami when Miami wasn't beating anybody. Like, it's just a New England thing. If you were so bad, New England just doesn't know how to respond. We just don't know. We can't figure it out.
What was it? 18 wins and 1 giant loss?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's wild. It's just the way New England works. Hi, John. I see John. I know that you don't acknowledge chat, but I'll acknowledge chat. Hey, John.
Yeah, I acknowledge chat.
I thought you try to avoid chat to keep the conversation going. I thought that was a rule of yours.
It depends who it is. It depends if I like the person or not.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Because, well,
depends on who's in the chat. I get you.
I have enemies, and then also sometimes you have weird people in a chat. But I've only banned one person in the 10 years I've been doing this. One person, because they were saying things that were pretty offensive. Even for my standards, where I had a trans woman on and they were calling her a man, which I thought was way out of line. It was
Yeah,
way
and
out.
you have a responsibility to protect your guests too.
Let me just say, Serena Havoc could handle herself, but regardless, I thought that I should just end it before it started.
Right.
But you know, some of my guests have no problem handling themselves, and they're more than welcome to do it. But again, I just said I'm just going to ban you, and that was the end of that discussion. So and it solved the problem quicker. But anyway, that's not the point here. But obviously, I mean, getting back to Granite State Punk, though, I mean, obviously 5 issues, and you have a trade coming, obviously, at some point this year or next year. I don't know when the trade's going to drop.
No, it's this year. I decided to separate it and not do the issue in the trade. I know a lot of people do that because I want to do an album. I want to have punk rock and a punk rock album attached to it. I want to make it hardcover. I have this really cool idea of how to make a really cool hardcover. It's going to be a hardcover book, and it'll have like duct tape on the side. Like, it's going to be punk rock. It's going to be a lot of fun and customized. So I think it's going to be something special.
So what is that like too? Because obviously, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I like building a bookshelf. So I do it with Blu-rays. I like buying steel. I'm a big anime fan, in case anybody didn't know that. And I like my steel case Blu-rays because I think they're really cool on a bookshelf and looking at it. I like really cool books. I like my manga collection because when you have a whole manga collection of like 50 volumes and they all look nice together, it's cool to look at. And then, so what is that like? Because when you're making a cool hardcover book, there is something to be said about that, right? And I think, I mean, maybe I'm the odd one out. I don't know. But for me, I like looking at cool stuff on my shelf because it makes me feel like, oh man, I'm in a club. And it's exclusive. And then if you make like 300 of that book that's super duct taped out, that's like $150, there's only 300 people who have that book.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like, I don't know how you feel about it, but like, I'm sure you have cool stuff like that, right? Like limited editions and stuff like that. Like, I got some cool stuff from Tom Hutchinson that's like limited to like 100 copies. So, like, that stuff is really cool for me because it's just I wake up and I see it and I look at it. I'm like, oh man, I don't even touch it. I don't even open it because I've read it all digitally. But I'm like, I have it, and like, I feel like I'm part of a club, and I feel like I'm a collector, right? Like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, we have those. We absolutely have those. We've done. In fact, this is Point to Judas. We did that. There's only 100 of the hardcover version of this that's out. And you've seen some of my other stuff, Holiday Spirits, and you've got all my Cthulhu's, so how nice those are put together. So we try to keep it limited, and that's what I wanted to do. Granite State Punk is so special to me. I'm gonna make. I'm doing Voodoo. The next one of the next comic books I'm doing is the Voodoo Nation, and that's going to be the book in the trade. But Granite State Punk, I really want to do it right. I really want to do all the things I've dreamed about doing with that book. I think it gives us more to make it limited edition. So I've talked to bands. I'm going to sign them up. We're going to get an album in there, and I need to pay these people. So I need to keep it limited and special and what that's going to be. And I really want it fun. And all these bands are from New England, which is really, really fun too. And I'm going to try to pay for a song that is in the book and have a band, hire a band and make it that band's name and put a song out together. And so we're going to go all out with that. I want to make it special, make it something that you haven't seen before. This book should have been out a long time ago. I was slowing my production of Granite State Punk to line up with the Scout releases because I wanted if someone got to the store, I wanted them to be able to just buy the next issue from Orange Cone and not have to buy a whole bunch so they want to wait, right? Does that make sense? Like, I didn't want them to have a whole catalog of stuff waiting for them. I wanted it to go, you can wait it out if you want to, or if you just want to get the next one, you can.
No. I get it, and then obviously things happen in life, for lack of a better word. Again, I mean, the whole thing with Scout is complicated. I don't even know what happened.
I can't talk to a lot about it because I have a NDA. But at the end of the day, no fault. They got me into stores. They did really well on doing that, and then, things change and the industry changed and
I
how to through stuff, and it just wasn't profitable for them. It wasn't profitable for me, so we drop shipped. I didn't owe them anything. It wasn't a bad split. I'm very thankful for Scout, but they're doing their own thing. And then, it was only a couple months ago, and then Diamond fell apart. So it was going to fall apart.
I want to talk about that. Because I know you can talk about Diamond, in which that I was having a semi-conversation with Ben Dunn, and I said, "Hey, man, how you hanging in there?" Right? Because he was speaking about this, and then I've been speaking to a few other people who obviously have relationships with Diamond, and clearly, I don't know what happened with Diamond. All I know is that it's not good. It's not good. And betting against Diamond, and if you're cheering that Diamond failed, I'm going to just say it very politely. That's not good. It's not good that Diamond failed because it impacts comic shops. It impacts the way people do business, and it definitely affects the industry of comics. But also, Diamond was very much outdated in certain ways, I think, and I feel. Now, I don't deal with Diamond. I've never had a conversation with Diamond, but I think in 2025, Diamond was not ready for 2025, to put it nicely. And I think they've been way behind by about 10 years. And I don't even think it's Kickstarter. I just think things change. If you look at a comic shop has Magic the Gathering, has a bunch of card games in there, has Pop Funkos, and has comics, and has manga. 20 years ago, those things weren't in comic shops. Maybe cards were in comic shops, but Pop Funkos were not in comic shops. And so things have changed on profitability. And even on my business on eBay, things have shifted where I am way more into cards right now because they are just highly more profitable. I could buy a card for $4 and sell it for 10 all day without doing any work. And then I'm making $3 in profit on that whole trade. And I'm buying in bulk, and then I'm selling 100 of those in 3 weeks. So I'm making $900 in profit in 3 weeks, and I don't even have the card.
Right.
So like comics are moving way slower. So I'm curious how you feel about Diamond, because I don't think you're relying on Diamond per se.
No, where Diamond hurts a creator like me is at my level. I'm like high level small press, so I am not the image guy yet. So I'm not the Dark Horse guy. I'm maybe a Mad Cave guy, but I'm kind of at this level.
Would you consider yourself a Titan comic guy, or is Titan above you still on
Titan
the race?
just does a lot of weird stuff. They don't do a lot of creator owned stuff, so it's hard to know. But yeah, I could see myself doing that. I even Dynamite and IDW are on my level, but again, there's divisions of those too where I may not be IP delivered, but stuff. But anyways, all those publishers were only Diamond there because they didn't sell enough to go to Lunar. They didn't sell enough to go to Penguin Random House. So all those options are off the table. So my secondary market after Kickstarter that floor is gone. And where I think creators get that, and that hurts creators because we don't have options to get secondary stuff to get into comic stores easier. And now I know that Diamond wasn't buying those anyways, so that's not a huge issue. But what it does is it takes away opportunities for small press people to show. Because one of the things, someone I don't like, but he talks heavily is Larry Higgins. He talks about being in comic stores and how important comic stores is. And I don't agree 100% with every aspect of it. But I do believe one of the things that he preaches often that I agree with is what Diamond does. The one thing that Diamond does is somebody else said you were good, right? So if I got into Antarctic Press, it doesn't matter if the book or whatever it is, Antarctic Press said your book is good enough for us to try to sell it as well. So it's not just you it's not me going on the show going, buy Granite State Punk, right? Scout has said.
I agree. It's very helpful when you interview somebody and somebody advocates for you.
Right.
It's incredibly helpful. And then there's names in wrestling that have opened up doors for me that have gotten me probably 15 to 20 interviews that I would not have gotten before. So like a guy named Anthony Green, who was August Gray in WWE, has helped me a lot. In that regard, we opened up about 10 interviews for me that didn't exist before. By me just interviewing him and saying, hey, dude, I'll throw some names out for you and I'll help you out because he's just a nice guy, right? And he loves wrestling. And there's, I guess the idea that somebody gives you some credibility. And I look, obviously me and Larry have had issues. I haven't spoken to Larry. I don't badmouth Larry. I don't have any problem with Larry and what he does.
I do. So you're fine.
That's hilarious. Again, he said plenty of bad things to me. That group has said plenty of bad things to me, and litigation is not off the table if they want to kick it up. I have no problem to say that either.
Just because someone's an asshole doesn't mean they can't be right sometimes.
No. I could think so. I agree. There's plenty of assholes where I'll throw a name out there. Grant Cardone. I think Grant Cardone is a dick.
Right.
But I do think he's right about, and this has nothing to do with comics, and the reason why I bring it up is that I think he's right about that, hey, most Americans don't take enough risk. I think he's right about that, but he's also a dick. Right. So, but a dick can be right too, right? So I don't have a problem because I would say Larry's right 40 to 50% of the time. Because he's not wrong on a bunch of stuff. It's just that, he does a bunch of other shit that's problematic. Right. And I can call things out like a spade. And that doesn't mean I haven't spoken to Larry at all. And if he's seeing this and he wants to have an adult conversation with me, more than happy to have an adult conversation in a very private way, in a very sanctioned way, per se, or a public one at that point, where there's no issues there. But we're not sharing a beer, for lack of a better word. But I'm not getting in his way, and I hope he makes a lot of money, and I hope everybody makes a lot of money in comics. But I think it's interesting because the whole diamond thing is that it hurts me as a business because now a distributor screws up, and now comic shops have a problem of figuring out what the fuck do we do next, which means that there's a bunch of other shit, and then it negatively impacts the industry. And so for me, it affects me differently than other people.
Yeah, well, I think that, so I took it, when you asked that first question, I took it from the creator, from me as a creator, where it affects me and hurts me. But comic shops, I don't think people understood how many comic shops didn't get Marvel from Penguin. They didn't jump ship to Penguin. They kept it Diamond because you could get it at the same rate at Diamond at a discount. Like you were getting it. And these comic stores want less invoices. They know Diamond was a monopoly, but it was way easier to play one guy and focus on one shipping than all these other shipping. So for them and many of the stores, that was a blessing to them. I know that my comic store, they literally this week was the first time they said, hey, we had to drop Diamond. They didn't want to. They were pushing for Diamond and doing it. It's just kind of the time. And it sucks. I think there is a small possibility that they can be bought out. There's a couple of names that are being thrown out, but you're buying a company with a bad reputation, right? It'd be like, I'm trying to think of. I want to use AEW to get it to wrestling a little bit, but it's not even AEW.
I'll give it to you, right? WWE was obviously brought private into TKO, and then the whole Vince thing dropped. If the Vince thing dropped before that deal was finalized, there'd be an issue. Or the whole, when WWE was still a publicly traded company and the whole steroid situation was going on, Chris Benoit, Mr. Kennedy, some other people, and all that shit was going on, you start getting a bad name to stuff. And then Enron, right? We could drop Enron, right? Enron's another good example, or FTX. FTX is a bad name. I would not touch FTX with a 10-foot pole, and don't call me Mr. Grinch because that's just bad.
Yeah, no, I've got the right analogy. I've got it now. I wanted to make fun of AEW because I'm not a fan, but I won't do that. So it's more like 2000 wrestling, in late 2000, like when there was WCW, TNA, and WWE, right? One was Diamond, WWE was Marvel, WCW was DC, and then TNA existed, and they had a couple of big names, much like Diamond. They have a couple of big names that are worth doing it. They get some help from some of the other companies, because remember WCW towards the end were letting them use some guys and whatever the case would be. But even if you buy it, you can't save it, right? It's not going to be saved. Even now with WWE buying, it's not saving it. It's just going, all right, we'll give you a couple of NXT guys, right? And we want anyone of value there to appear on our show.
We want Jordan Grace. We want Jordan Grace, and that's about it. That's all we want.
I think they want Joe Henry. I think he's got star power. I don't think it'll last forever, but I think he's a niche wrestler to get some stuff. I think he's just like LA Knight. He's got the same LA Knight. People really loved him, but now they're like, okay, cool. LA Knight's there. Yeah.
I enjoyed Eli Drake in Impact and TNA. I enjoyed it. Like this was my Friday night in DC, right? I would come home from work. I would stop, get my dinner at the place below my apartment. So I would get off the metro, because it's called the Metro in DC. I would stop at the liquor store, get a bottle of rum. Then I would go get my dinner, and then I would watch like 2 episodes of The Office. And then after I did that, eat my dinner, I would start getting hammered with my rum and like my Dr. Pepper. And then I'd be playing Overwatch for like 4 hours. And then at 10 o'clock on Twitch, Impact was on, and it was awesome. I'm tweeting with all these wrestlers, half intoxicated, no idea what I'm saying. And they'd be tweeting back at me. And then I'd watch a movie, and then I'd fall asleep at 3 a.m. And it was great. That was every Friday night. And then I wake up at like 12 on Saturday. I would grab Starbucks and be like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. And then I repeat the week next week. It was great.
Sounds like a good life.
And now, if I have like 2 shots of rum, I'm done for the night. It's terrible. It's what 32 does to you when you're versus 22. But I love Impact. But again, I don't disagree. But speaking about wrestling, obviously, I love wrestling. I'm very excited. The WWE Topps Chrome 2025 came out, and I picked up some cool stuff there, and I picked up some more of it today. So obviously that's exciting. Royal Rumble's happening tomorrow, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And so I'm curious, what is your whole viewpoint on the Royal Rumble? Because this shit's awesome now. For lack of a better word.
Right. So I want to take you back to last year. So last year, you remember the Women's Rumble was amazing. The Women's Rumble. I think we even talked about it. I think we had a show last year after Royal Rumble, if I remember correctly. And we talked about how great that is.
I mean, it was Bailey, right? Was it Bailey that won?
It was Bailey, but just remember there was so much storytelling in the Rumble of doing it. So I'm really beyond them. So I want to talk about the females first. I think the women, they've got to have something special, because you've got, when you announce Charlotte beforehand, you've got something special, right? You got something going on when Charlotte is already thrown up. Yeah,
this is the women's WWE book. There's 3 of them in the world.
I get it.
No, it is not for sale.
No,
Charlotte Flair signed this book. Sasha Banks signed this book. Becky signed this book. Bayley signed this book, and the Bella Twins signed this book.
Yeah, and I think I think you'll see Nikki. I think you're guaranteed to see Nikki. My surprise is I think you'll see Nikki. I think you'll see Becky. I think you'll see. I think you'll see one of the old greats. Either Lita or stuff. They're not going to win, but
it'd be cool to see like Alonza. I can't even speak. Medusa.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to see because that'd be cool.
I know that the rumors say you're not going to see it, but I would like to see Alexis. I think you may see Bliss. I think that may be a bullshit.
You mean some of this?
Yeah, I think you may see her. Because of the way that went down, it was remove it from your socials like everything just seems very staged in that particular one. I'd like to be wrong in that we got the right stuff, but it seems kind of staged, you know.
I'm excited for the women's Royal Rumble, but I do not think it's going to be as fun as the men's. And let me explain why. Because I think the men. So I think the women are going to kill it, right? This is not what the talent isn't the issue. I don't see any good story with the women right now. Where I don't feel like the story's there. Like last year, the story was there, right? And that doesn't mean they're not going to have good matches at WrestleMania and even Money in the Bank and Elimination Chamber. That's fine, right? But last year, it was fun with Rhea Ripley, right? It was fun what we're going to do here and winning the Royal and all that cool shit. The men, we got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins wants it. Sami Zayn might become main event Sami Zayn. We got Jay Uso and Sami Zayn, and now Seth Rollins are going to have an issue. So come on, let's put them in something. Put both of them in the Elimination Chamber, and let's see what the fuck happens in March, right? Between those two in an Elimination Chamber match, and let them start the Elimination Chamber, and let's see this friendship break, right? Because one of them is going to eliminate the other. And then what's going to happen with Roman Reigns? I mean, and all this shit. And then CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes WrestleMania. That's going to be fun if they go that route. Because it
is wild. What's great about this Rumble is most Rumbles I can predict for the most part. Very, sometimes you get things, but I can't predict because there is 5 people who can deserve it, and then we're not even talking Cena. I don't think Cena's going to win. I think Cena's going to lose the Rumble, win Elimination Chamber. I think that's the flow. He loses Royal Rumble, wins Elimination Chamber, to build that. But I also could see it going the other way, where you give it to Cena to really shock the audience, not to shock the audience, to shock the people who watch it on the regular, who kind of know like the format, because that kind of throws it off. I'll be honest, I think I wouldn't have said this, 3 months ago, but there is a slight chance that Kevin Owens could take that belt from Cody. I wouldn't give it 100% like I have every other match that Cody has had since he's had the belt. Every single one, I'm like, there is zero chance. This one has a slight chance. I don't think it's going to happen, but
I think it's going to be interesting because, again, I think that we have a crazy circumstance here where what if Sami goes heel?
Yeah.
And Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens WrestleMania is not a bad idea, especially if you have Cena versus Gunther.
Right.
Like, because I don't think Cena versus Cody is going to be a good match. Somewhere I would like to see Cena versus Cody, and maybe if Cena wins the title and then Cody now, wants to go after that title at SummerSlam or Money in the Bank or something like that. But I definitely don't think that Cena should win this Rumble. I don't. I don't think it's necessary. He's done it already. He's done it twice, I think, right?
He's done it at least once, maybe twice, but he's done it at least once.
But I think it'd be a lot of fun to see somebody like Seth Rollins or CM Punk, because then you could have equity into who eliminates Cena in that. But if Cena enters the Royal Rumble at number 14 and gets eliminated at like number 26, that'd be great. That's what I want.
Well, and I don't think he's going to win, but I don't think Randy was that hurt, right? So Randy should be back.
Yeah, I don't know in which
Randy, one of them, it may not be Randy or AJ. Both of them don't look. I know they weren't that hurt. I know they were hurt, but not that hurt. So one of them you should get back, which I know is not going to get him in the main event, but it will be a good pop and good stuff to get things. The talent for WWE in the main event, they've been playing it so well. And one of the rumors as well that I've heard is that CM Punk has got Brock Brock into the Royal Rumble. Like that's his favor, to get Brock in it, to throw a whole bunch of people out to to help him win, which is a possibility there. There's so many avenues of story that we have. I want to see Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. I want AEW to go, look at my toys. Somebody else is playing with my toys.
Well, I forget the meme. I forget who was the first one, but it was first, Jade Cargill. So it was CM Punk, Jade Cargill, Cody Rhodes, and then I forget the fourth person they stole from AEW. There were four, right? So I forget the fourth, right? But there is a fourth person, and it's a great meme because it's like, hey, 2020 was this, 2021 was this, 2022 was this, 2024 is this, and who else are they going to steal? So I mean, I'm excited for it. It's going to be fun. I'm excited because I'm a big card collector, and there's going to be a bunch of tops now because for those who don't know, on the card side, Panini had the license for WWE, and then they lost it to Topps. So now Topps is bringing a great product, which is a Topps Now, which captures the moments. And so all these cool moments are in there now. And so now Topps has it, and Topps is a fantastic company. So that's the other thing, too, that I think is really, really interesting is as a card collector, I'm like, cool, we're going to get some cool shit now. That's pretty sweet. And for those who don't know,
Topps is the top of the game when it comes to cards, and they're very good at their exclusive ability. My wife does Garbage Pail Kids, so we bought some of the special sets over the years, and the limited edition things. So I think they're really cool. I think they know what the fans want in that. I think it's almost like they have two different companies. They have here's your collector's stuff. And then here's if you just want to get Topps cards, if you just want a normal set, here you go. And I think that's
great. So Topps Now has made me so much money. It's insane because you can buy a card for like $8.99 and just one. You can buy 20 for $100. And then they throw parallels in there. So there's 90 parallels. They go from 50 to 25 to 10 to 5 to 1. And what's great about it is that there's 90 of them, and then they're just included as bonus. So I just opened up Rhea Ripley winning on Netflix, and I got a 50 parallel, and I got a Gulia parallel of limited 25. Wow. And so this affects my business, and this is why I like this, is because the more you buy, the higher your odds of getting parallels. And those parallels go for good money. So the Rhea Ripley 50 goes for 150 to like 180 on eBay, which is wild. And I don't know what the Gulia goes for because one hasn't come up yet. But like the Triple H 25 is going for like 150, and somebody's asking like 700 for CM Punk limited to 5. Wow. And so it's crazy. And so it's cool because I'm keeping some of this shit for me, but like I'm wondering what's going to happen with the Royal Rumble because all these cards are going to come out. And I'm not saying if you're watching this show and you want to make money, I mean, $5 a card, sell for like $9. I mean, there's some money to be made, 69-cent shipping, and you buy 20 of them, you get that parallel. I'm just saying it's randomly inserted. So just saying, you don't have to take my advice for it, everybody, but it might be a good time to get into Topps.
No, I think it's going to be good. I mean, and you could tell, like, obviously the main event, Cody, the main event, but I mean, the other match for the night is Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY, which is not a Royal Rumble match, in my opinion, but it just shows that the talent is so stacked that they didn't want to give, like, they're just like, we're not throwing another great match in there, which is crazy. I really think they should have left the Sheamus Braun match for Royal Rumble.
Yeah. But I enjoyed Saturday night main event. I mean, that's fun because they're going up against AEW apparently in like July.
Oh yeah, dude, they're cruel. I went to my daughter's graduation, and that's where it was at UCF Arena, which is where they do AEW. So they had like All In or something on AEW a couple weeks ago, like about a month or two ago. and they had a WWE house show at what is it called now? It used to be the Amway Center, then it was the TD Bag, and now it's something else. Kia Center, I think, is what it's called now. But that's the main one. That's where the Orlando Magic play. That's the big stadium, and they filled it, and it's just rubbing it in, like it's just like they're just being cruel.
TKO is a sick company, so they're a sick company for a bunch of reasons. First and foremost, for those who don't know, Endeavor owns over 51% of that company, and Endeavor is going private to Silver Lake. Silver Lake owns 75% of Endeavor, and when they go private, that means WWE is going to have an infinite amount of money.
It's crazy.
So when a company has an infinite amount of money, what happens is that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. So the pool of money for WWE is insane. And for UFC at that point as well. And then Endeavor just sold professional bull riding, and then some other companies to TKO Group. And then TKO as a stock just announced that they're bringing a dividend back. So this is a whole different ball game now, where now you're going to have a bunch of interesting stuff on the investment side, and you have a great company that has a great deal with Topps, and they're going to kill them. And I would be very surprised if WWE doesn't want to buy AEW at some point. And not because they want AEW, but because they want their talent.
But I don't think they can. I think the reason why they didn't buy TNA, because I think TNA can be bought at this point. I think it's because they got sued by MLW and they lost for like a monopoly situation. So I think they got to be very careful. But I mean, Tony Khan is running that company to the ground. You have some great talent, but you don't know how to tell stories. You just don't. They're not telling stories. The only people who are telling stories are former WWE people, or the rare exception like a Tony Storm, or a MJF. You know, they just happen to be, you know, a cut above. And you're benching people like I can't even think of his name. Danhausen. How can you? That guy is making money selling. He was second or third merch seller for the company and didn't wrestle in 2024.
Look at Orange Cassidy. Is Orange Cassidy still with AEW?
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question, and it's all right if you've never seen it, but have you seen Orange Cassidy wrestle on the Indies?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Orange Cassidy on the Indies, oh my God, unbelievable. And Orange Cassidy is a phenomenon. And I'm like, if I was running AEW, I would wrestle Orange Cassidy once a month, but I would put him on media. And I would get him so many gigs in movies because he's Mr. Bean.
Right.
He is a Mr. Bean type character that will give you what Alexa Bliss gives WWE. Alexa Bliss is perfect. That's my Alexa for those who don't know, who just heard that, but she's perfect for media. You got the Grammys, Alexa Bliss. Country Music Awards, Alexa Bliss. Nickelodeon, Alexa Bliss. That's what Alexa Bliss does. I think in 2022, Alexa Bliss spent 90 days at home.
Yeah.
She wasn't wrestling all along. What it was is that she was so busy doing media for the company that's what she was meant to do.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You know, Alexa Bliss, I mean, she needs to come back. I always get, you know, when I'm watching wrestling, it's so funny because I'm kind of bored with it now, but I like the Judgment Day to an extent, you know. So, you know, having I can't think of her name right now. Struggling. Who's the girl in Judgment Day? The blonde.
Raquel Rodriguez or Liv Morgan?
Liv Morgan. I always get confused and think they're Alexa Bliss because they have similar costumes, even though I know the difference. And then I see her wrestling. I was like, nope, that's not Alexa Bliss. That's the bad one.
I love Liv Morgan. She's great.
But she's not as good as a wrestler as Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
You think she is?
I actually think that to some degree she's better.
You think Liv Morgan's a better wrestler than Alexa Bliss? I don't think so.
I do. I think she's a better wrestler. I don't think so. Technically, I think Liv Morgan's a better wrestler. I think Alexa, but wrestling is not just doing a suplex, right?
Yeah.
So
That's why
Alexa,
AEW fails.
what'd you say?
I said that's why AEW fails, because I think it's just doing a suplex. Oh, do
Alexa
5 flippy
Bliss.
floppies and Dave Meltzer gives you a 5-star review and we love you. No, that's not wrestling.
So Bliss, because if I keep saying Alexa, it's gonna keep going off in my basement because that TV works, but it's not as good as my TV in my family room, unfortunately. But anyway, not the point. Alexa Bliss can cut a promo and get under your skin in ways that other people can't. So
Right.
she understands how to sell that, and she is so blissful, for lack of a better word. See what I did there, everybody? I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm like a walking dad joke right now. I'm just a walking dad joke with no kids. It's great. But no. She's fantastic. And again. I don't know if she has autograph cards, but I do love her comic book. Again, bought this book pretty cheaply too. And then I was smart enough that it was a combo deal.
Nice.
These were dirt cheap. These were dirt
Yeah,
cheap.
I don't think wrestling. I think wrestling. If you look at wrestling history, when it's hot, it gets a good 5-6 years of hotness. So we're not even in the middle of it yet. You know.
I think we're at the start. I think we're at the start. And if I was running WrestleMania, I would make one request to WrestleMania. They need to get a major pop star to do a halftime show.
I mean, maybe I always get annoyed when they do it. So
hear my rationale behind it, right? So in the United States, we are on Peacock with WrestleMania. Yeah. So we do not get the benefit. The rest of the world is on Netflix with that. So the NFL, what they did with Beyonce was a game changer, her doing her halftime show, because people watched that segment a lot. And it got a huge pop on viewership. And so the 20% of the US that watches this, it doesn't matter about the halftime show, but the rest of the world will pay attention because they will watch a piece of WrestleMania and it will increase viewership because it's on Netflix as part of the deal. And that's why that halftime show. So if you had Beyonce doing a halftime show, the United States is not going to give a fuck. It's for the rest of the world that it's going to matter. And that's why they need to do it. Because
but they did it last year. I mean, it wasn't called the you think it needs to be advertised and call it a halftime show because they did it last year. Who's that guy with the I don't even know his name.
Jelly Roll Pitbull.
Jelly Roll, that's it. The Jelly Roll was there last year. They basically did a concert in the middle of the show. Remember, you had machines.
Started it off with the concert, which was fine.
I remember being there. I don't remember when it happened, but I remember it being part of the show.
Again, I'm being selective. Not the point though. You get where I'm going with it though, because I think they need to advertise it as a halftime show because you're going to get people and viewers that are the 80%. It's not going to affect me or you because we're watching WrestleMania regardless, right?
Yeah, I mean, but again, wrestling has never been available to everyone. Where I think Netflix gives it that opportunity. Peacock doesn't necessarily do that, but Netflix and the rest of the world really gives it. Super Bowl, what's great about it was on ABC or NBC, so it was free for anybody.
CBS, Fox.
Yeah, whoever had it. It was one of the free channels, right? Because not everybody, I don't think people realize that there's parts of the country that didn't get USA. That USA was not part of their package for a while.
When I was in DC, I didn't have cable. I bought a Sling package because I got internet cable. So I cut my cable and then I was paying like $50 a month for internet and I was paying $20 for Sling.
Right.
And so I got, wrestling and stuff, but that was that. But then I'm watching Impact on Twitch because it was free and it was decent wrestling and it was free, right? The price was right. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And then my dad had an Amazon account. So I got, it ad free. So all of a sudden, so yeah, you could use my account, and there you go. So, but now with Netflix, I mean, I have a Netflix account, and I have Netflix for other things, and Monday Night Raw is there, and so that's where we're at. And my favorite moment in Netflix is when Hulk Hogan got booed.
Yeah, oh, it was good. It was really good. And then to watch, last week where Logan Paul had the exact same heat, but it's good heat. It's so interesting to me because I think Logan Paul. I don't think the majority of the fans, because wrestling's an older audience. We like to pretend it's not, but it is kind of an older audience. If you look out there, it's it's they haven't the 20-year-olds aren't there. It's 30s and 40s, which is fine. I mean, they have more expendable income for tickets, so it's going to work out for TKO. But
that company's made me so much money.
But Logan Paul, getting booed like he did was also super amazing, and that guy's going somewhere because he's booed and got talent and can wrestle, and he's in his prime. Hogan, he can't fix that. He can't go heel and fix it because he can't wrestle.
Well, I don't know if you know the whole thing, and I'm not usually political on this show, and my co-host on my wrestling show has a saying is that what we talk about on my channel is anything that will get you punched in the face in a bar. So everything's fine to talk about, anything but what you'll get punched in the face, which is no religion, no politics, right? And that doesn't mean you can't wish somebody a happy Christmas or a Merry Christmas. That's not religion, right? If you say Happy Hanukkah to somebody, if you get punched in the face in a bar for saying Happy Hanukkah to somebody,
right,
that person who punched you in the face has a clear problem. I want to make that crystal clear here. But Hogan, before, I don't know if you heard what was going on, is that he was walking around wearing a MAGA shirt.
Oh yeah, no, there was videos and pictures, and he earned it. Like
I'm all for stating what you want to believe in, right? Like I didn't have a problem with Dan Campbell having Hulk Hogan talking to the Lions before. That didn't bother me one damn bit. One way or the other, some people might think it did, whatever. That I didn't think was political shenanigans. It was just Hulk Hogan pumping up the Lions, right before a playoff game, right? So be it, right? That if people were giving that political, there was no politics in that. It was just Hulk Hogan in a video pumping up the Lions. But if you're walking around with a MAGA shirt in WWE, which I don't know if it's 50% or 60% liberal or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But you're in California? Are you fucking stupid? And then you expect to get a positive reaction selling American beer? Just that thing was just bad. And I'm like, that was the one mistake they made.
Well, you could tell. I mean, Undertaker was there, and he's also a Republican and did stuff, and nobody cared.
But the difference is that the Undertaker isn't fucking riding fucking the MAGA train.
Right. He's not at the Republican National Convention. He's sharing an opinion.
Look at Rick Harrison. Rick Harrison gave a speech for pro-Trump. Nobody's giving Rick Harrison from porn star shit because Rick Harrison isn't fucking shoving it down your throat. He gave a speech in Nevada for Trump. And okay, his politics. He gave a speech, but it's not like he's shoving it down your throat. Hogan is riding that train because he has nothing else to ride. And then he put the blame on Jimmy Hart, which was ridiculous. That was all Hogan, and it was the stupidest idea. But maybe Triple H purposely set up Hogan. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. And you gotta, a lot of people were like, in fact, I even heard Eric Bischoff say, well, I've seen Hogan at other events where he's done signings and, they've never been a problem. Yeah, it's a different thing. If he's at a wrestling signing event, like people are waiting in line to see him, those fans have decided you're not in front of everybody who doesn't have to deal with the repercussions of booing you, who's not encouraged to yay or boo. It's not appropriate for a signing. I've never actually seen anybody booed at a signing. Like, it's just not the way it is. Mel Gibson is coming to MegaCon this year, and though I've seen, people online get very upset about it, I am not a big fan of Mel Gibson. I think he may be an anti-Semitic, but he's not going to have any problems at MegaCon. No one's going to harass him.
There's only one person who's ever had a problem at a convention, and it's Vic McNaga. And that's the only one in the history of this that I can think of.
Yeah.
For good reason, right? It was a very controversial issue, and it's a very heated issue, and it's very divided between both sides. And he's the only one. But Mel Gibson's not going to have a problem.
No.
Not at all. In which that, I mean, I enjoy Mel Gibson in The Continental. I thought he was great, but I tend to agree with you. He's probably an anti-Semitic. Probably. And I'm Jewish. I
Right.
mean, so I mean, I've seen things of him. I think South Park nailed him perfectly. I think they got him perfectly. So I mean, I could be wrong, and if I am, and he's changed his ways, great. I mean, and look, I mean, look at Nick Cannon made anti-Semitic statements, but he made amends. I don't think Nick Cannon's an anti-Semite.
Well, and that's again, go back to Hogan. That's where Hogan messed up. Hogan has, apologized for the N word, and then we had that Tampa WrestleMania where he was super drunk with I don't remember. I think it was Shelton Benjamin next to him. Oh, it was Big E next to him, like going, "Get this guy away from me." You could tell he didn't want to be with him. It was awkward and bad. Like Hogan has continued to prove the person who he is over and over and over again. Jesse Ventura will never let you forget that he was anti, union. So there's all these things that Hogan is just never going to get away with. And you bring him out in California after a Trump rally, show picture of him beforehand in his MAGA shirt and promoting his bullshit beer, saying he knows more about America than the rest of us. That's not going to fly. And I don't think it would have flown in Texas. I believe that you're going to get those boos anywhere. I don't think it's just California. I think California's going to be the loudest, but I think anywhere you're going to get boos for Hogan right now.
I think Texas, it would have been weaker. I think Florida would have been weaker.
Sure.
I think if they brought him out in Florida, Texas, I think maybe if it was set up better, they could have done better. But like, I don't want Hulk Hogan to shell shit. Right. I mean, I'm not buying Hulk Hogan's beer. I'm buying Stone Cold Steve Austin's beer because that's actually a good beer. Like a Broken Skull Ranch is a pretty good beer. So again, I mean, that's just how I feel. But again, people like Stone Cold Steve Austin. So like that's the other thing too, is that I don't think Hogan's liked, and that's part of the problem too, right?
I think Hogan is perfect for like when you're doing the Saturday night main events. Have him do some promos that are on TV that can't be booed. Like not appear, but like do the video packages. I think those are perfect for him. I'm not going to get upset by seeing him shelling for Saturday Night Main Event. He was a big part of that. It's not going to bother me. I don't think people have a problem with seeing Hogan, but if you see him live, we're going to share our opinion of him. I don't think we care the history of Hogan. I think he's fine. But he probably shouldn't show up to the Hall of Fame this year. He probably shouldn't show up. I think he's kind of done.
This is my co-host on my wrestling show said it really well. He said he should show up maybe once a year. Once a year, we get our Hogan in there, great. And then after that, he says the other 52 weeks off on a Monday Night Raw on Netflix. We get him once a year, middle of the year, when it's a low point. It'll get some ratings. It'll get some heat. It'll get some attention. It'll pop it up because any attention, even if it's booed and he's hated, is good attention. And great. There we go. And then we get our Hogan for the year, and then he sits home. For 52 weeks, he makes his 30 grand for the night, and he's happy. Maybe 100,000, but perfect.
I would keep him in those Fanatic tours. I think he's doing well in those Fanatic tours that they've been doing where they advertise that he's going to be there signing stuff. Because I think people can separate.
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine with the signing stuff. I'm just saying on a Monday Night Raw once a year.
Yeah.
Just keep him there, and we're good. Because again,
I want him back every week. I want to hear those boos all the time. I've never seen Hulk shaken, ever. Like I've never seen him shaken, and it was. I'll be honest with you. I was actually shocked. I mean, and maybe it's my ignorance, but I was shocked that there wasn't any crowd control on that. I was shocked that it was allowed. I was shocked that it continued. And it definitely was like, wait a second. Like, I knew he wasn't liked, but I didn't know he was hated in that way. And it was definitely, I wouldn't say it was disturbing, but it was shocking. For me, at least. And maybe I'm ignorant, and that's fine. And I'll take the heat on it. If anybody sees this, feel free to call me that. But it was pretty
was
I've
not.
watched that clip so many times, and just watching him, you can see his brain, like the shock and him not knowing how to respond, and you could see his brain go, "All right, I need to go heal," and then going, "But heal does not sell my beer. So what do I do? I just have to push through." And it was wild seeing Hogan in that state because I don't think that's ever happened to him. Like when the NWO, the only other time that he was booed and like it was crazy, he knew that was coming. He knew it, and he knew it was good booze. He knew it was good heat.
It's crazy. And again, my whole thing is that I was just shocked. But again, we're in the Netflix era, and they're not bringing him back. Why do you think CM Punk made the statement? If I have to throw Hulk Hogan over the ring, I will.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crystal clear. WWE realizes that they can't bring Hogan back, or they can bring him back once a year. They can't bring him back anymore, and they've realized that because it was bad. It was bad. It was the worst part of that initial Monday Night Raw. It was the worst part, and that it was the worst part, and that's what it was, and it's the only flaw with that Monday Night Raw. But beyond that, it was great. But I digress. All that stuff. But obviously, that's my take. I think CM Punk's going to win the Rumble. I think that'd be fun. I think that the women, I have no idea who's going to win in that match.
Which is great.
Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. I don't even know who's in it. Like, what is there? Like 12 people that are announced. Like,
well, you know who I want. This is unrelated to the Rumble, and I do got to wrap it up. I got to take off pretty soon, but I would really like Natalya to win one of these Intercontinental or one of these new belts that they have. Natalya is such a workhorse. She's such a great wrestler, and she never gets anything.
No. I think it'd be fun. I think her last run as a title would be great for the Intercontinental.
Yeah, let her get one of those other ones, but she's always pushing people over and getting them to where they need to go. And, she watch tomorrow night, mark my words, she will be in the Rumble for a really long time. And it's not because she's not going to win. It's because she's such a ringleader that her being in there, if something happens, she can help get it back on track. They trust her in that aspect, and there's not a lot of women who can do that in the WWE locker room right now. And I think she deserves more credit than she gets.
It'd be cool. I would like to see her in NXT, to be honest, and it might seem like a downgrade, but women's North American title.
Yeah, no, I think I think she would be really good teaching some of those NXT people. And but I'd like to get a belt on her again. I think giving Hart's belts are good. I wish Teddy Hart wasn't an idiot and he could wrestle.
Oh my God!
He could wrestle, but I wish he wasn't an idiot outside of wrestling because he's got everything he needs.
You must have seen that documentary, right?
Oh, I've seen tons of stuff, but I've been following Teddy Hart since that. Remember that old? I don't remember what it was called. It was an MTV wrestling program when wrestling was hot, and he was the main star of it. And I was like, oh shit, Teddy Hart? There's another Hart Foundation?
Society X, maybe?
Yes, Society X. Correct, you're right.
That was amazing. The whole thing was amazing.
Right.
So what's crazy is that you might not have ever seen this, but there's a company called ICW, right?
Yeah, I know that.
And they're indie, right? And they're like deathmatch wrestling now. And Danny DeVito, who's the owner, they kicked Teddy Hart out because he just showed the fuck up. And Brandon Kirk and Danny DeVito was like, that piece of shit. This won't be a wrestling match. He said on the mic to the whole crowd, I will fucking beat the shit out of him. And for real. And it was insane live on IWTV. And like everybody in the audience, like you realize that it wasn't a promo. And everybody's like, what the fuck here? And like half the locker room kicked out Teddy Hart from entering the building. It was sick. And like they filmed it, and oh my God. And like referees were involved from that company in that too. And it was like, no. And people thought initially it was a promo, but then Danny on Twitter was like, no, I'm sorry, Danny D'Amato was like, no, that wasn't a promo, guys. This is real. And it was like it's one of the most shocking moments in wrestling that nobody knows, and it was amazing. That whole thing was live streaming on a platform, and I wonder what IWTV was thinking. They're like, "Oh my god, we're gonna make so much fucking money off of this shit." So Teddy Hart
is the best wrestler that I know who is only a danger to himself, because I haven't seen a bad Teddy Hart match, but he's a piece of shit.
he needs a professional handler to handle everything except what he's in the ring for.
Yeah, he needs a Heyman to like help him, but not Heyman, like a Brock Lesnar to beat his ass. I saw this really cool clip today. I don't know where it was from, but someone asked Taz and said, "So what's the difference between asked Rhino, what's the difference between a gore and a spear?" And he goes, "Nobody kicks out of the gore." And he's like, "Didn't John Cena kick out of the gore? Like that was a big thing." No, you thought it was a gore, but it was actually a spear. Because nobody's ever kicked out of the gore. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing in the world. It's like, if you ever see a gore and they kick out of it, you thought it was a gore, but it wasn't. It was a spear. Because people can kick out of the spear, but they can't kick out of the gore.
The best thing ever in wrestling. That's good. I haven't seen that one, but the best thing is Steiner math.
Oh, Steiner math. Yeah. Someone. I had not known what that was. And Braun Breaker, when he first got the belt, made a math reference, and everyone was laughing. And I was like, "There's something I don't know." And they're like, "I'm going to teach you the world," and show me that clip.
I love Steiner math. Steiner math and Samoa Joe is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then you got Petey Williams and Rock Khan in there. Oh my god, just that whole thing. In fact, that's like the greatest quote ever. And then I saw that meme with TikTok. So they replaced it when TikTok was going down. And so that was great. But I digress. You and me can go for hours on this, but I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, back your campaign?
Yeah, the best thing, back Granite State Punk, we're at 68%. If we can get that back, we're at 3,400 right now, 142 backers. We'd love for you to get support. That's where you want. If you want to just follow me, Travis Gibb. .substack.com. That would be great. We can get you there, and we can I'll post all the stuff that I'm all about all the time, or orangeconeproductions.com if you just want to buy some comics.
Yeah, and then I've been saying it for a while, you got to support people, and that means following them on social media is free. X following, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, websites, buying comics, and then obviously if you have money, buying their works, whether it's digital, physical, or both, is always helpful as well. And then as far as I'm concerned, for those who don't know, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook. I do not have Blue Sky. I am too lazy at this point to create any more social media. I do have TikTok if it's still available. That is Pop Anime Comics. YouTube is Pop Anime Comics. I do run a card show called Big Boy Card Collecting. We break cards and we do it live. So a lot of fun stuff is always being displayed there. So you can come check us out there as well. It's just a good time. It's educational. You'll get smarter, hopefully. And then I do run an eBay store called Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And this is my store right here. Look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I do sell cards like this, which are wrestling oriented. I sell cards like this, which are fun. I sell a lot of WNBA stuff. This is a 101. This is a 25 of Angel Reese Draft Night. And then I do sell some cool stuff like this as well and stuff like this. So if you're looking for cool books, I got you covered there. And if I do not have a card you're looking for or a comic you're looking for, ask me because I might have it. And if I do have it, I'll list it for you. And if I don't, chances are I will find somebody who does. It's happened before with a bunch of people, and I'm more than happy to help people get what they want. So that's everything that I got going on. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Live free or die. Buy comics. Watch Royal Rumble.
I don't think I can say that any better myself, everybody. And that is a wrap.